Well, good evening. I'm your host, Robert Wilson, Cowboy Wisdom Podcast, presenting 7 reasons why blaming the workforce leads to plummeting profits for corporations and business. Anytime you blame something outside of yourself, that's being lousy at managing everything. And in business, that's being lousy at managing employees. You know, we taught ourselves at a young age to blame. Then we feel the shame for lack of ability. And that is something that's pretty rampant in this country right now. But I now realize my personal life, blaming anything or anybody for my current situations steals my life, steals my dreams. That's the same as business. Anytime you blame anything, the employees, the bank, the managers, the vendors, you're stealing you're stealing from your own profits. It's a plummeting profits. So blaming the workforce leads to plummeting profits when management exudes a snobby pride and a wiseacre behaviors when they walk through the facilities. They got that suit on and they got their neck bowed and they're standing up. You think you're exuding leadership to the workforce, you're just a pompous ass. I've been on that, and when the workforce gets together and start, you're the topic of the situation. Your arrogance steals from your egotistical arrogance and know-it-all ignorance steals from your profits. You know, you may walk through there like I got the power of your paycheck. Well, they got the power of where they work. But we've been taught and dummied down in the workforce where we're afraid. But you hit people that aren't afraid and you keep taking it away and taking it away, people are going to become unafraid and they're just going to tell you how to take your pleasant little arrogance and take a walk on a short plank. But what people don't really realize that wiseacre behaviors and snobbish pride slows down production. Because people, they stop trying and they stop wanting to do things. I'm guilty of that. When we had a bad boss, he cost the company millions. They go through the motions. They never go through to get it done. And you listen to like Wall Street and some of these pundits or the dumb nuts in Wall Street, they think as long as everybody should hippity hop for business, but business never wants to do their share. And if you look at the world today, business doesn't do their share. They take from the taxpayer in the United States. And that's something I really want to point out. All them tax breaks that the business and corporations get, that's a loan from the taxpayer. That's the hourly worker. That's my money, just as much as it is the business. And see, we got this arrogance that business and education are going to lead us to somewhere. All they're going to lead us to is where we're at. Because business and education has zero wisdom, insight, clarity, and knowledge. They have whatever that book will tell them, but they don't have the insight, clarity of the listening to the free-flowing energy of people. No, when you're on let's say there's 500 people on a production line. You got to multiply 500 by 60,000 thoughts, or 60,000 thoughts running through them people, and 85,000 emotions. And how many of them you think a manager or an office help can make mad and stop the flow and make that all negative energy? Because some managers walk into the building and it's over. I mean, they have the workforce upset. Management thinks they're educated. I've got the power of your paycheck. I got the power of me. And I was working in a place in Bothell, Washington, and this old general foreman come waltzing up there with his chest puffed out and says, "What's taking so long?" I just said, "Nothing. Go get my money." I just quit. I don't need some 6-year journeyman, and I'm a 30-year journeyman, telling me what to do, and they never know what's going on. And see, there's people have things in their lives happening, and management hasn't got the people skills to realize and watch the production floor, see what's happening. And that is something I really understand and I've watched. And when you get that I don't give a shit attitude going through the production, your business, you're shut down. And that's something I can really tell you it happens. But management thinks being they got that degree and they got all them MBAs and stuff like that, all that is all you got is a degree. You lack the people skills on how to talk to people and represent yourself and move it. There's some out there, but I've watched jobs where there was a real budhead running it. He took up at least 25 to 30% of the day with all the hands talking about him. You know, you may think you're the cat's meow, but in the end, your cat's not meowing, it's crying. And see, management shuts off a crisp understanding that the workforce are autodidact entrepreneurs, which is a sovereign, enlightened worker. See, what's going on in the office and what's going on them computers doesn't always resonate out there in the field. Because like machinery running, machinery has a rhythm and a sound. And people become attuned to that sound. And as soon as that sound changes, the operator understands it and shuts it down. And you have to run a machine quite a lot to understand what is going on. And see, the difference between management is classroom trained. The workers are on the job enlightened, and the wisdom rises through them. And the biggest thing, I have a friend. She goes in and fixes upside down businesses that are going broke. She don't talk to management. She goes and talks to the floor, the workforce, and finds out what's going on. And a lot of times the workforce stays and management leaves. See, management is just a ancestor programmed arrogance that we think, well, they're managers. They know what's going on. A lot of times managers got there by being suckasses. And you can tell that when I was working I've worked several places, but when I was working as an electrician, they always took the ass kissers and made them foremen. And then they wondered why their jobs always fell behind. Because them guys usually have their head up their behind. And then they're in a mind bind, not understanding what to do. And most of the time, management has learned from books, computers, and AI. You know, AI and computers and books are all good. But when you hit out there where there's production, sometimes the unrealized wisdom of people will rise you out of that quicker than being stuck in AI and the computer. That's something I've realized in my life. Just because somebody's in management never means they should be there. We had a general foreman up there when I was working in the electrical trade. Everybody wanted to work for him. He ran a smooth job. Then you go to the next job and they got one of them professional foremen, we call them, and they were terrible to work for. And management, can make money with people skills more than they can their computer skills. When you have people skills, you can communicate with the worker. When you have book knowledge and computer skills, you lack the communication skills to talk to the workforce. That's something I realized. And a lot of people, a lot of foremen and stuff, and they wanted that title. I call it titleocracy, stepping in turdocracy. They want that title. I don't need a title. I don't even want a title. I am just me, and I'm free to feel the robust, enterprising elegance within me to dance me through life. And the more I rise understanding things, and I'm going to admit, 2 weeks ago, I didn't like AI at all. But one thing about AI I'm starting to understand is I can write stuff. AI can give me stuff I was unable to think of or understand. And then when I open it up, then I take it and rewrite it in my little country boy ways. See, the world is too cityfied, not enough countryfied, because we don't have I don't want to say we don't have the autodidact ethics that we used to have in this country, because when this country was young and we was coming from St. Louis to here, they had to have some indigenous ingenuity to move it forward, because coming across the Rockies, nobody understood how they was going to do it. And see, you can have if you have understanding instead of knowledge, and you have understanding instead of knowing, you're opening to listening and questioning your way through unsavory situations. Or I call them my little life test to be the best, to boldly energize savvy tenacity to rise out of the situation. One thing computers have stolen and silently stolen is our free-flowing energy of intuition, imagination, innovation, and intuition, because them are the natural nirvana nausas that are within us, and we got to listen for them and communicate with them. And one thing computers have done in education, they have stolen the communication between people away. And we really have a lack of communicative wisdom within us. And one thing that scares the heavens out of everybody is humor, relaxation, leisure, and having fun. When I first got in the union, or even in the oil field, when we started work, we started having fun. The insults and all, but it wasn't mean insults, but all the the fun, the quick-witted wisp of making fun of each other, but not cruelly. But and we had fun. But the last 7-8 years, it was miserable, because everybody was scared to have fun. People got their feelings hurt too easy, and they just didn't have the people skills. But what they really lacked is the wisdom and the knack to get it done. When I first started in the union in 1991, we could do a lot with 150 people. When I walked out of the union, the safety and all the other stuff they brought in, it took over 300 to do what that 150 could do. And it's nothing to do with anything but the changing of times. But here's the thing that we did in the union, and I'm going to admit this. The unions allowed the older gentlemen, the older wiremen, to retire And they made young people foremen because they think they could go faster. They went for speed instead of skill, and that speed turned into need. And that's the way it is. But the management, they lack the people skills and the mechanical skills to make everything work. And they really stopped everything being in the flow of the go. And something that I want to iterate to people is when you're standing around machinery and you watch a production line or some form of machinery run, that machine has a sound. When everything is running and it's operating smoothly, there's a sound and a rhythm to all the noises. But you have to learn to understand the rhythm of the machines. And once you never had that, you don't know when things are messing up. But you watch a good operator, when they're listening and they shut that machine off, that's because something's wrong. And you can never walk out of an office onto a floor and understand the rhythm and the sounds of the machine because they all sound the same. And but one thing management and everybody overlooks is profits begin on the production floor as production workers and their skills innovate the profits. And something else is production workers innovate the profits. Management pilfers the profits. Everybody thinks management does this. It's like I used the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. You know, we give Eisenhower credit. He did a hell of a job. But for like the Battle of the Bulge, Eisenhower didn't win that. The troops won it because they were the ones there face to face with the German soldier. Everything isn't management doing it. And all the the profits of the corporations, that comes from the production. That comes from the production workers all over the world. And something that happened between the 60s and the 2000s is we forgot people innovate the profits of a corporation. We think it's computers and the management. Well, if I could have the money management screwed up, I'd retire a trillionaire. My book. And see, I now understand and admit college degrees and business MBAs lack communication skills because the production floor has a different dialogue than a computerized jargon. Yet the difference is the production floor has a direct get it done lingo, and management has kind of a floozy doozy language, and they want to try to talk to the labor people, the workforce, to discredit them and make them look foolish. And the one that looks foolish in the end is management, because these people are trying to tell them what will move the world, the place forward, and management's trying to control. See, the production workers facilitate. Management steals the profits because they lack the communication skills to talk to people. You know, there's a lot of ways to do things, but when you're dealing with machinery, the person running that machine usually understands more about the machine and the production line than somebody walking down out of the office. And see, when they take a kid straight out of college, put him in the office, he walks out there and he sees a 50-year-old man. He thinks, well, I'm educated. He ain't. He's not book educated. He's life and production wise. And see, that's the thing. We have this fallacy. I watch Charlie Kirk a lot and it's fun, but we don't have the knowledge and the wisdom to understand it's management that creates the challenges in a business. And you gotta, if you have shitty managers, you're going to have poor production because the workers are going to start fighting. They're not going to come right out and do it, but they're going to do little things that stop production every day. I've watched it on jobs. Hell, I got to admit, I've probably done it. No, hell, let's be right. I did it. And see, when you got somebody walking out there with a snobbish pride, controlling their communication through their big words and talking to college like they come out of college, that college classroom knows nothing about a production floor. It knows how to start it, but it knows nothing about the integral workings of a production floor. And I worked with a lot of young safety people just out of college, and they brought them out there. They were dumber than posts, but they knew everything. If I had the money they screwed up, I'd retire today a trillionaire. See, management, just because somebody's a manager doesn't mean they're good at it. And it's like Steve Jobs when he started Apple. They used to go for the people that could do the best interview and had the best grades and things like that. 3 years in, they wouldn't even talk to them people. They went and found people that did not want to be managers or be bosses. They made them bosses. Because somebody that don't want something is going to do better than somebody that wants it. The worst manager in the world is somebody that wants the job. And if he has a little bit of pilfering lips or a suck ass, you never want them. And I was 30, I was 9 years in the oil field, 36 years as an electrician. And then I grew up with my uncle and my dad. They didn't put up with no crap. They'd tell you 1 time, 2 times, 3 times horizontal. And they didn't care about that. Either you did it or you got done, or you got kind of educated. But one thing about the 60s and the 70s and early 80s, you had to have some wisdom within you. These smart-ass kids today, they wouldn't have made it. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And, I now understand and admit the wisdom of any company is in the hourly workers. The knowledge is in management. And the thing is, management lacks the wisdom to make the company flow. And they lack the communicative skills to understand the person looking at what they want that has the floor that's having the challenges. They understand something that somebody in the office will never understand. And see, trouble with the world today, management knows, workforce understands. Management today has very little understanding. They have a lot of knowledge, but they lack the understanding and the wisdom how to make it flow. And another thing management has a tough time doing is, and something else I really want to get into here is, when the management's setting up in the office talking about the workforce, and they're talking about the workforce, and the workforce is talking about them, so there's nothing going on. And blaming the workforce for lack of production is lack of leadership in the offices. And when you're sitting at a desk with expectations and a test, the workforce is the hidden challenges because management gossips about the workforce as the workforce gossiping about management. And then when you walk out there to try to, I'm going to go out there and light a fire on them guys. All you do is make them mad. Nothing happens. They're going to do something for about 2 days, and then they're going to start pilfering out of there. And another thing is you may have a lot of knowledge, but you have the wisdom of that worker. And one thing about the management's snobby pride and wiseacre behaviors, they deflect the responsibility and being accountable for what's going on in the business. All businesses go broke because of poor management. This country has a habit of blaming the worker, but it's 100% management because the worker has never made the decisions or the choices to where the company is. As management blames workers to deflect responsibility from their decisions and actions, this deflection shifts the focus away from the leadership failures and inadequacy and the lack of accountability of management. Blaming workers allows management to avoid accountability for poor strategic planning and decision making. This lack of accountability can lead to a culture of finger pointing rather than problem solving. But the thing is that they guys want to maintain their status quo and they want to have the authority and they really want to blame workers. And management can maintain that authority and control over the organization. This reinforces the power dynamics between leadership and employees. And usually the management wins for a while, but in the long run, the employees, the workforce rises out or they quit and go somewhere else. And when you have a 30-year person or a 20-year person quit and go somewhere else, that puts you in a small bind. Simplistic outlooks. Stop blaming the workers and everything that's going on in your business. Break it down to 10 and 12 words. Make it a simplistic pathway out of there. I use pathways instead of solutions because pathways are never stuck in a convoluted way. And it also avoids the deep need for deeper analysis because you can analyze till you paralyze, and then when you paralyze, you still never get to the root cause of the problem. And it's about management preserving the image. Management may blame the worker to preserve their image and reputation. Never admitting to their mistakes could damage their credibility and standing within an organization. And the biggest thing is management and leadership in a corporation is afraid of liberating they're afraid of change. They like staying in the blame of change, blame the worker, and I can go home and puff my chest out and go to the board meeting and say it's all their fault. Whenever you're looking for fault, you're in default. You're in delusional default within yourself. And with that, I want to thank you, but this is going to be an ongoing thing. And the thing about it is communication clears away all the despair and dismay in a corporation. And I am Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Hypno Acuity. And may your life be as blessed as you're a blessing to me. And I'm going to keep going on this because to make the world has to open up to communicate because everybody can never be management and everybody cannot be, and everybody never wants to be an hourly worker. But here's the thing. Tomorrow, when you're going through your day, see how many hourly workers you come face to face with and see how many management people. Anyway, enjoy your evening and thank you.